Definitely didn't have a pro doing that job. Why I say that is they've got a whole bunch of Romex wire to stuff through one connector, and that is not okay. All right, so for free, now we've got another, okay. So this wire just popping straight in. Let's see here, weave is an outside light. Yeah, so that's okay. We'll just keep that in here because I can't pull it free. It's still stuck there. So we'll just tuck this in and have that be sitting right there. That's of less of a concern. Now, actually, what I can do, I can make all this right. I can actually just pop this out, and I will slip it into the side of the box through another hole, and then that would leave us nice. Because as far as I have been trained, you are not supposed to run more than 2 Romex lines per connector, and so that you can seat them square, get crisscrossed, and all that. So, okay. All right. Just give this lock ring a little bit of a tighten. There. Much better. Okay. Now, what I'd like to do here, now that I see I have the opportunity, is to just give me a chance to slip in go. Okay. Now, there's actually a pretty cool wire stripper here. Oh, there it did come free. How about that? Fun. See, if you can't tell, I'm doing this all live and uncut, but that's a heck of a bonus to get there. So now we're just right down to just where you want to be. 2 wires in there. Everything's cleaned up. I can remove this out now and get it free. All right. Now that that's done, the next thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to try to fly through this. I'm going to go kill a breaker. It's number 4. That way I can work on this. I'll show you a quick pigtail. We can pop the mud ring on. We're ready for our patchwork. I'll try to run. Okay, now let's just make sure. Again, probably just traveling next to another hot wire somewhere down the line. So the way to confirm, take out your multimeter, put it in volts AC, and test against your hot and neutral. Interesting. I get no volts even though it was sending a vibrate. And then lastly, if you ever have to touch any wire you're worried about, one hand, 1-2 fingers at most. That way you're not taking a shock across your chest or anything like that. Try to just, you know, tap, tap, tap. And that's only after you've exhausted every other test option before you put your hands on it. So, here we go. Hot and neutral together. If we had voltage, I'd be in trouble. See? So, we're good and safe. Now you can see this job was done terribly. So, we're going to first start by cleaning everything up and moving forward. So, I'm just going to show you. I already grabbed 3. I like basically using that as my length. Use your stripper as your gauge. Strip off a good inch, some. But point is, have these 3 handy for you. Linesman's pliers and a stripper. Okay? Now, these caps are garbage. Never use those. So I'm going to just start by giving it a fresh clip. Okay? So let's just start, since they got all bent up. Now what you don't see here is they actually have 12 gauge wires coupled with 15s here. I love when they do that. So what that means is that this is actually a 15 amp circuit, and I can tell you that because I ran out, flipped off the circuit. It's when whoever did a remodel in here came in and they just put 12 gauge wire with the 14 gauge wire. So to make it easier, I think it's easier to do 2 12s together. That's why I am using 12 gauge. And it's only because putting the 2 12s with 1 14, I think makes a nicer splice. Do whatever you want. And then I just got the tan caps. That should be perfect. And I always start with the ground wire and work your way up to your hot wires. So let's just push these down. I'm going to start out here by using my linesman to just straighten out the wires best I can. And then put them in a little bushel group. Grab them near the tip. And just, you don't grab on super hard. This is kind of just letting the tool do the work, rolling it over. You want to get that nice curl. That's beautiful. Actually, that was a perfect start. Always clip the end. That way when you screw the wire on, it is compressing the wires evenly and one can't slip out. So then, there you go. Tuck that wire back. It's ready to pop out. Remember, we work up to the neutral. So, got these, and you always line up, now that when we've got insulations, always put the insulations in line with each other. That is really the big goal, so that they hide under the cap evenly. Okay, so again, very gently start the roll over till it grabs, and yeah, beautiful. Just butter curls right there. I'm sure if you can see those. Those are beautiful. And again, like I say, it's because I'm rolling 2 12 gauge wires together with the 14. If you're trying to do 2 14s with the 12 can kind of just be a hindrance because it's thicker, so it doesn't want to roll over as even. So the fact that I'm putting 2 thicker ones, they'll just force that 14 to bend at their will. Okay, so here we go. Now we're getting there. So now I've got neutral folded in, ground folded in, and I can have both those wires coming out on the left. Because that's typically how I do it, is ground on the bottom, neutral, hot, so that way neutral, hot wires, if that makes sense. So I'm just trying to load the box in a way that will be most user friendly for when I go to install my outlet. So again, line up the installations, let the tool do the work. I'm not cranking and squeezing as hard as I can. I'm kind of letting the friction of the teeth grab, and yeah, honestly I wish you could see how these are turning out. These rolls are perfect. Really couldn't do them any better. Okay, so again, and what I'm leaving there is maybe 3/8 of an inch. So the cap actually drops over the wire before it even starts threading on. That way you know you're good and safe. Okay? So, and also the hot wire is the last wire you tuck, so that if you ever have to pull it out, it's easiest to deal with for diagnostics, because you just know where it is. But see, now I've got my wires grouped the way they need to be, so I can actually just to keep us nice and safe for when I flip it back on, I will nip the hot wire back some so that I can drop the cap on. Okay, now everything else can just kind of get folded in here, and it's ready for the outlet. Now back to the patchwork here. I talked about that mud ring. This is now going to be what brings us out to the surface of the drywall and condenses this junction box down to just a standard outlet now. Okay? So now I'm just trying to put that on nice and level here. Okay? Perfect. See how these wires just pull through to an outlet. Okay? Now, measuring